I can say with 100% confidence, there is no nobility in poverty.
You're like giving guidance and whatnot to like brothers or friends and being able to help them get off their feet. Like that's the stuff that like really starts to matter.
All of the men of our generation that are out there saying, you know, place priority on this, or this, you know, money can't make you happy. Like you're a bold-faced liar. If you had an extra $10,000, $100,000 in your bank account, you're going to be a hell of a lot happier than you are today. Is money going to make you a better person in your family or a better man?
All right.
We're back.
We're back.
Today we're hitting a controversial topic. This is our episode 12, Money 101. So it is a controversial topic, but I don't think it should be controversial.
No.
And I think, again, it's something, it's a part of our like last few generations that have made this controversial.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to talk about what is money? How do you get money? What can you do with money? What does money mean? What does it not mean? How does money change your life? How doesn't it change your life? You know, what does it make better? What does it make worse? And we want to try to disprove today all the myths and excuses that, you know, a lot of people in our generation tell themselves about money and really get into the nitty gritty today.
Yeah. And kind of where I want to start is like asking you a question, because you obviously like came from pretty poor background.
Yeah.
You didn't really have much money growing up at all.
Yeah.
So the transition in a very short period of time from being like legitimately no money, debt collectors calling you, to like millionaire at 25. How, like, what did money do for you? What didn't money do for you?
Yes. I can say with 100% confidence, there is no nobility in poverty. There's a lot of people that take pride in, you know, I never needed money to make me happier. You know, we had love, or, you know, we still had a great time. I can tell you that life flat out, excuse my language, fucking sucks. There's nothing to be proud about it. Your family is in a terrible situation. Your security is in a terrible situation. The people that are out there that are telling themselves and lying to their family that we don't need money to better our lives, stop lying to your family. Like, change something about your life and start moving it in a better direction. Because I can tell you there's probably, let's start with the ways that money makes your life worse. Mm-hmm. It's very, very few, and I'm going to say it's one or two things. And then we can talk about all the ways that money makes your life better. But the amount of ways that money makes your life worse is it turns a lot of relationships that you thought were genuine transactional.
Yes.
I would say that's the biggest downside of, you know, really your life changing to where you now have an abundance of money versus a scarcity of money, is a lot of relationships are purely what you can do for other people in a financial way. And it takes sort of peels your eyes back to the reality of life.
Yeah.
And it teaches you a lot of things, and it shows you, you know, who was real with you, who wasn't real with you. And it makes just a big part of your life transactional, including a ton of family.
It's a great test to see like who really cares about you in your life, because like
100%.
There's so many people that like when you're on the same level as them, and let's say you're not getting that much, you don't have that much money, and they might be your best friend, or they might be someone that like you think is super loyal to you, but then the moment that you start excelling and you start widening the gap and you start obtaining either high income or you're actually like building wealth.
Yep.
And you see the mood start to change. The moment that you see people that you thought were in your corner and they're not just as excited as you are, that you're earning more and that you're building your business and that you're bettering yourself and that you're becoming richer, those are the people that like you got to cut out of your life.
You know, immediately was never real.
Exactly, because the people that like don't really like that, you could have literally no money and on your ass, or you could be a billionaire and they treat you the exact same way. Like those are the people you got to have in your life. Like the close people in your family, whatever the relationship is. Like I know from when I had no money and was at a job where I wasn't making any money to like where I'm at now. Like my parents, my family, like they never treat like they still look at me as the exact same person, which I love, because like obviously they're not like they see me as more than that. But there's a lot of relationships though that I do have with people that I thought I was closer with, where it does become transactional. And not only just that, it's almost like they don't want you to continue to succeed, or they try to bring to light like, oh, like, well, you're going to be like all stressed out, or you're running yourself into the ground, or like you're not enjoying your 20s. That's a common one. You're not enjoying your 20s. Like, and they try to put this doubt into your mind that like you focusing on like being successful and building wealth and like making a better life for your family and the people around you is like a bad thing. And those are the people you got to like X out, because that's just 100%. It's toxic.
Yeah. And I'll say, second bad thing about, what money does for your life is pretty much what you brought up. It's going to, essentially everybody that's not just like you, which is 99% of the population, is going to look at you and ridicule you as if something's wrong with you. Mm-hmm. As if, how could you think this way? How could you work like this? What is wrong with you? Dial it back, slow down. Wow, stop and enjoy life. And they don't even have the perception to realize that you love your life. Like, I love everything that we do. I am ecstatic to get up in the morning and get after it another day and win another day. And then do it the same thing, get up again and get after another day. To where all they think of is how they're living their life, and they could never imagine being that excited about their work. So those are the two biggest things, is just, relationships turning transactional, and a lot of people who you thought were rooting for you and on your side, I guess kind of, like you said, kind of root for your downturn because they feel very insecure about where they're at in their life then. Those are the only two downsides. Mm-hmm. I went from, 1 month having income, December of 2019, I had income of, like $2,500 that month, to January of 2020, my income went from like $2,500 to $60,000 the next month. So very, very, big swing in income right there. And I can tell you, living on $2,500 a month, what that looks like is you can't pay all your bills. You constantly don't know how you're going to get through the month, let alone what you're going to do the next month or the next year. You can only think about today at that level of income. It's extremely hard to break out of. I can tell you at $60,000 a month of income, I can say you're not only thinking about tomorrow, but you're thinking about next year, and you're thinking about 10 years down the line. Biggest shift is definitely mindset. At that level of income, you can now start making plans and investments in your future. And people will say, oh, it must be nice. That's such a crazy number. It takes just an incredible level of execution to get there. And you're rewarded with the ability to then do that, which mm-hmm. nobody else gets to do. I will say that money, that level of income, gives you perspective of how the world actually works. It sort of opens your eyes to a lot of things, and you see that how you've been told to live your life is a lie. And really, without everyone thinking the way they do, society actually doesn't really work. I go back and forth all the time, with my wife, where we're always talking about, and I'll, see somebody living way below their potential, and I'll say, why can't they just think this or do that? And Gina's always like, why do you care? And I'm like, I just know they have so much more inside of them, and they don't even realize how life could be. And then she gives the great perspective and says, well, if everyone thought just like you, we really wouldn't have a full functioning society, which mm-hmm. I guess she's right in a way, but that's really not going to diminish, trying to motivate other people to be like us, because there's a lot of room. Mm-hmm. We do not know anybody else our age doing what we're doing. So if you're watching this and you're our age and you're getting after it, love to connect. That's like one of our biggest goals here, is connecting with other like-minded individuals, because it's a lonely space out there. But again, going to that level of income, all of a sudden, people in trouble in my family, I could now help. Mm-hmm. If other people had emergencies in my family, I now could step in and say, here, I've got you. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't need to worry about this little problem. Like, you can step in and help people in need, because you don't need $60K a month to live, obviously. With the extra money, you could go and then invest in other people, i.e. the very first year I started making that income, I started a scholarship at my high school, making investment in other people's future. Because there were people that made investments in my future. It wasn't always money, it might have been time or other things, but it feels good to invest in other people's future. Most importantly, you can invest in your own family's future. You don't have to let it up to chance and say, well, I hope my kid figures it out. Hopefully they can figure out how to pay for college or be successful in life. You can take a very active role in preparing their future. And really, just at the end of the day, the biggest luxury of having that level of income is not worrying about how you're going to get through the month, and just having that peace of mind and security that when you lay your head down on the pillow, you're good.
That's the biggest thing that I want to highlight.
Yeah.
Is the comfortability aspect
Yeah.
of having money. Because whether it be like you don't have to earn $60,000 a month to be happy or to be comfortable. Like
Yeah.
whatever that number is,
Whether
whatever
it's 5 or 10.
5, 10, whatever that number is, like the dollar amount doesn't matter. But
Right.
what like you have to get yourself to a point to where you could sit back and there's nothing that within reason inside of your life. Like obviously there's always going to be things that you can't buy
Right.
at any level of wealth.
Right.
You could
Correct.
be worth $100 million. There's things that you can go, you
100%.
can't go out and buy. But like
100%.
within your life of what you're trying to build, you need to be able to sit down and be like, wow, I don't have to worry about the paycheck coming in. Like I have money stashed away, or like I don't have to worry about it if my son wants to maybe go to Disney World for a couple of days, or we want to take him to the beach, or it's someone's birthday and we want to go out to a nice dinner. Like reach whatever that looks like. Going to a sports game, or like, oh, I'd love to like go and sit like a couple rows back at a Steelers game and get to see the players or something like that. Whatever that level is, that's what you're working towards, is the comfortability aspect. Everything on top of that, that's then when you can go and affect other people's lives, like beyond your own. But at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself and
100%.
your people first. Like if
100%.
you're not taking care of yourself and your people, then you're screwed. So you got to reach whatever that level is of being comfortable, of whatever it's like, hey, and again, it goes back to work-life balance. Like some people, you get to that level of comfortability, and like I don't agree with it. Like I don't think you should ever be complacent. I think you should always be striving for more things. But like if you reach that and you're like, you know what, I'm comfortable. I can go on vacation twice a year, and I live in a nice house, and I don't have to worry about it, and I got a decent retirement. Like, and I'm happy. Like then that's good. Like that's you solve the money problem.
Right.
Like in your world,
If you're not thinking about money.
If you're not thinking
good.
about money, you solve the money problem. But I can tell you this: if you're the person that is bitching constantly, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, or I don't have
Price
enough
of
money to do that, or
gas.
price of this, or price of that, or oh, it's so expensive. You have a money problem. So like you need to figure it out. That's a you problem. That's something that you could do something about. You could go figure that out. Like
Right.
you can figure out that money problem. Don't bitch to the rest of the world that you have a money problem if
That's a you problem.
it's a you problem. Like, and whatever that level is, like maybe you need to go out. Maybe you're a 10K a month earner and you're still bitching about those things. Then you need to go find a way to become a 20K a month earner,
Yeah.
or a 30K a month earner, whatever that number is. Or it's from 2,500 to 5K a month, whatever it is. But like, do not express that to other people. It's the worst thing ever when people bitch about money, especially when you have all of the ability to go get it. Despite if you have if there's something that's disallowing you from whatever working, or you have some type of disability or whatever, a cognitive disorder, whatever it is, like then that's a different story. But like if you're a healthy individual and you can go out and earn money and you're bitching about money, like I do not want to hear you bitch. I really don't.
And
like,
I will avoid the hell out
yes,
of you.
and I don't want to be friends with you
No,
either.
that's the thing. You have no idea who you're around in any public setting. You could be sitting across the bar from somebody that could change your life.
Yeah.
And based on them hearing your conversation, they could literally walk over and change your life. You would not believe how many times me and you are sitting at a bar somewhere to get lunch, and someone literally without any encouragement will come over to us, and one of the first things they'll start doing is just bitching about money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay me enough here. I can't afford this, or this. And then if anyone is watching from afar, they will see me and Nick immediately go, pull up our phone, because we have no time for anyone that thinks that way.
Yeah.
When if someone could come up to us, hey, like, I've been working 16 hours a day here, blah, 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 blah. I'm just looking for the right opportunity, like we both were in our life, hard workers that needed an opportunity, you know, and just talking about all the things that they're actually taking massive action on. We could literally change their life in a moment and give them the opportunity, like we got an opportunity that we needed just to unleash ourselves. But instead, we are literally never want to see that person again.
Yeah.
So it's nothing you could complain about is ever going to change anything about that issue you're having in a life. And going from living 22, 23 years of my life with absolutely zero money to now pretty much being able to buy most things within reason, other than like a super yacht or like a crib on the water in Montauk, which I'll have someday. But or a jet, other than those things, could pretty much buy anything that I would want at this point in my life. Money does buy happiness. I am so much happier today than having, absolutely no money. Because what are the things that make you happy when you're working this much harder than everybody else. If there's no way in hell I'm going to work 100 hours a week and still drive the same piece of shit vehicle I was driving all those years when I had no money. No, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy the $200,000 car, because guess what? Nobody else gets to drive that, because they're not willing to put out like I'm willing to put out. The happiness of just driving vehicles that other people can't drive, I can't even explain how happy it makes me compared to, you know, driving, you know, a $9,000 vehicle like I was before. It gives you just like that feeling of verification and gratification that yes, you are better than everybody else because you're willing to put forth the work that they're not willing to put out. Now, I will say that, you know, is money going to make you a better person in your family or a better man? Most likely, yes, because you can do better things for them and give them better opportunities. But you could still be an asshole with money at the end of the day. You could have money and treat people like shit and not do the right thing. So I would say that it will amplify the bad in people, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to amplify the good that you're able to do inside of your community, inside of your family, inside of your church, wherever you want to spend, you know, your time and do good deeds. It's going to amplify those efforts that you can take.
Yeah. And I really think, like, even on the tangible side, like, if it's not the things, like, I think there is a diminishing return of that. Like, when I first started earning a good amount of money, like, all the new shit that I was buying, like, you buy the Rolex, you buy the new Mercedes,
Makes
you buy
you feel good.
like, you feel amazing, like,
Yeah.
you feel really, really good.
Yeah.
But then, and again, I don't think that we've lived long enough to even get to the point of, like, where the new things are that are, like, super, super awesome. But
Yeah.
like, it's almost like the tangible things do start to
There's a
kind of-
diminishing return.
There's a
You're
diminishing
right.
return to it, to where, like, yeah, it'll make you a little bit happier to, like, go from, like, a $50,000 car, let's say, to, like, a $250,000 car. Like, yeah, that's awesome. And, like, to go from the $5,000 vacation to the $20,000 vacation, like, you definitely will have more fun. There's
Then
just,
it becomes normal.
yeah, it just becomes normal, though.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes a part of your
And then
life.
you're fighting for the next high.
Yeah.
Which is getting to the next level.
Exactly. So that's, like, another thing that is, like, if it's not the tangible side for you, which personally for me, like, it's not as much. Like, I love getting in my car. Like, it's like compared to my 2012 like Mazda 3,
But it
like
does
getting in my
wear.
brand new
It
Mercedes.
fades.
But like it definitely starts to fade.
The first
Like,
week you're on top of the world.
yeah, you're on top of the world.
But
like,
then it fades.
it
Yeah,
starts to
does.
fade. So you have to go back to, like, who are you as a person? Like, what are you trying to do with it? And that's then when, like, you can actually, like, affect other people, like scholarships, and
Yeah.
you're like
Way better feeling
taking your
from that.
grandmother, like, out of a bad neighborhood, or
Yeah.
like you're like giving guidance and whatnot to, like, brothers or friends, and,
Yeah.
and being able to help them get off their feet. Like, that's the stuff that, like, really starts to matter. But yeah, like, anyone who, like, if you're at a point, though, on the other side of it, like, your car is fucking breaking down, like, or you have a leak in your roof and you can't pay for it, like, or whatever it may be, like, how can you justify that, oh yeah, money doesn't matter? Like, oh yeah, money doesn't matter, as, like, my son, like, is asking me if I could go wherever and you can't take him there. Or
Right.
like, your spouse is bitching because you haven't taken her out on a date in 6 months, and it's because, like, you're
Can't
like, oh,
afford
well,
it.
I can't afford that. Like, you need to figure that out. Like, that's, like, you're not even, like, living the fullness of life if, like, constantly every single day your thought is, like, how do I save every single penny? And even if I save every single penny, I'm not gonna be able to make ends meet because you're sitting in complacency. Like, that's not a fun way to live. So, like, the number one thing to figure out money, figure out, like, what you want in life, whatever that number is or whatever those
Yeah.
things are, and, like, then just go do it and stop bitching that you don't have money. Like, that's the number one thing that you need to do, is just figure out whatever it is, go get it, and then, like, you're at a point where you could at least be comfortable and you could sit back, and, like, the stress that's going to come off your shoulders is going to be
Huge.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's going to make your life way more happy than it was when you were struggling to save every single penny. It really is.
And I will say, like, we're just going to just throw this out the window today. If you are a man in 2024 and you're actively complaining to your spouse, significant other, you know, coworkers, family members about money, about the cost of things being too high, about not having enough money, there's no one that's going to listen to that and be like, yeah, that's a good man. No one will respect you. What's honorable and respectful is amplifying your life and taking stressing worries off other people, which you can't do if all you're saying is negative things and just downing the world and society and opportunity, and you got a bad shake at life. That is the weakest least honorable thing you're going to do. And if you're married and you're going home to your spouse and all you're doing is getting home, oh, can't get ahead, got a bad deal here, bad, blah, blah, blah. Like, your wife is not saying, wow, like, I'm so secure, I'm so lucky, look at, like, my husband. No, she's looking elsewhere at other men that are going to give her a better standard of life, more secure. Financial stress is, like, one of the top causes for divorce in America. It's just going to create conflict and friction in your life, in your family, to where if you can offset that issue that is a big issue in America or anywhere in the world, really, you're securing not only, your safety of, a solid roof over your head, but you're also securing your family long term. Now, obviously, everyone knows, people that are super, super wealthy and rich still get divorced and there's other issues. But I mean, just being financially secure takes a huge risk of, separation or divorce or things like that off your plate, realistically, if you're just looking at raw data. And at the end of the day, like, all of the men of our generation that are out there saying, place priority on this, or this, money can't make you happy. Like, you're a bold-faced liar. If you had an extra $10,000, $100,000 in your bank account, you're going to be a hell of a lot happier than you are today, because whatever the biggest thing is that you want or can't do, it's either, if it, like Nick said, if it's not tangible, it could be intangible, where it's something you can do for your family or anything you care about. You'll be able to do more with money. So stop lying to yourself that money's not going to improve your life. It's just, it improves almost every aspect of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we covered it. Number one thing is, like, get to a point in your life where you can achieve comfortability, you could achieve some type of security where you're not worried about, if your paycheck does not come in, that you actually are ass out and can't pay your bills or feed your family. Like, that's where you need to get to, and then, like, get to a point where you could just work hard enough so that you can be comfortable, so that you could do what needs to be done, and that burden can come off your shoulders. And if you did that, you figured out the money problem.
Right. Just start enjoying life. Yeah. It'll get way better when you start making more money.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
If you have anything to, disagree, agree on, leave it in the comments, shoot us a DM. We'd love to chop it up.
Awesome.
Until next time.